I thank God for this opportunity. And oftentimes when I'm sharing my testimony, it's like I'm going back through those experiences and need of grace. Sometimes the pain returns, the thing I went through. But I thank God that now, after many years now, it's 23 years since I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And the 23 years has been amazing. I have seen the goodness of God. And also, as we start this journey, I want to tell the people that the purpose is to glorify Jesus. Not the devil, not what the devil can do or what he has done. But at the end of the day, Jesus is the winner. Institute of Deliverance. What God has called me to do is to strategically train intercessors to pray and take over territories for God. So mostly I'm not pastoring the church, though I started the church. We are having other pastors pastoring the church. We also running a Christian television station in Uganda, worship television, just for worship and prayer. One of the things the Lord told me to do after encountering Jesus and seeing the power of prayer. By the way, I knew the power of prayer before I became born again. I kept encountering people praying and wondering what kind of lives are they. One example, maybe to bring it out, is I was still in the occult, and I was in the city in Kampala. And I remember I got instruction from our leaders to vacate the city and stay away 70 miles away from the city and remove all our operations, because a man of God was coming in the city. And I remember we were told that if we stay in the city where that man is, his prayer would kill us, all convert us. And I remember the instruction was stay out of the city 70 miles away, but also do not enter the city even 21 days after he has left. So I was still in the occult, and I was like, what kind of power is this? Because I knew the power, I knew Satan, I knew I had been all in these kind of powers. But then we were being warned not be around that man's, where he is in the city. That man was Maurice Cerullo. So he was coming in the city, and I remember we were told, stay out of the city 70 miles away and do not enter the city another 21 days. Because even after 21 days, his power, the effect of his power remains in the atmosphere after 21 days he has been in the city. So I knew the power of prayer. So when I came to Christ, the Lord was telling me, okay, you have seen the mistakes, the errors, because one of the work I was doing before I came to Christ was fighting churches and breaking churches. And the Lord was saying, now, you know how you broke these churches, and you know what were the errors and the mistakes and the weaknesses. So can you train an army of intercessors all over the world to bring out, to stand and take territory? So we are working with nations like Sri Lanka. We will have work in Sri Lanka. I work in Singapore. I work in Botswana. I work in Gabon. And a few places where I've been doing. We're having a work in Munich. We're doing a great work in Munich to raise intercessors and train young people to intercede, and then they take over the nations in prayer. So one of my calling, people call me apostle, others pastor, but my call is an intercessor. My memory, when I was around 3 years, I realized in my home I was living with my mom and my uncle, the brother to my mom, and no one else. And it was strange, because I was wondering why other people don't come to our home. Later I realized that when I was 3 months old, my father and my sisters left the home and did not return because of the strange things that were happening in the house, in the home. Now, I don't know what happened, the strange things. I didn't see it unless when my mother told me my story. But when I was 3 years, the event that I can remember is the death of my uncle. I came to hear this story when I was around 12 years, to hear the story of my birth and why I was strange. Now, by the age of 12, I was already deep in the occult. I'd been made a trainer of witches when I was the age of 9. At the age of 7, I was a territorial witch in charge of a territory. I had strange powers. People older than my mother could come and bow to me. Politicians, businessmen, for powers. So I kept wondering, where did I get all these powers? Where am I strange? But my mother kept taking me to different witch doctors for help to be delivered from those powers. But several times we could go to these places, to the witch doctors, and the witch doctors could chase my mother away, claiming that when she takes me to them, I steal their powers. So like even the witches, the sorcerers, even they hated me because they were, this baby has strange powers. So my mother decided to take me to a man in Pemba. Pemba is in Tanzania, in the Indian Ocean, who was called a sultan. So in this journey, she said, I'm going to take you to this man, and this man is going to help you. So that's when I asked. I remember we were in Dar es Salaam, we were on the port trying to get a ferry to go to Pemba. And I asked her, but Mom, tell me something. Why am I strange? And I could see when I remember I looked at my mother, and like this time she was desperate to tell me and say, please, can you not interfere with where we're going? Can we, please don't interfere. So like to convince me not to interfere, my powers, the power I had as a boy, for where we're going. So she had to tell me the story of my life. How she ended up in this. So this is what she tells me. She says, when she got married the reason she married my father, because her father had died, and her father was a rich chief, and she was the only daughter, and she had a brother, my uncle then. And when her father died, she says she knew the family in Africa. Most times the family would take over every property. So she needed protection. So by the grace of God, she says, at the time when her father died, and she's desperate, she's just a young lady, then my father started dating her. And my father, coming from a prominent family, a very known family and very strong, she thought this man, if he marries her, she'll get protection. So she gets into the family. Now, my father also was marrying her because he had been told he would find a young girl, marry early, and get as many children as possible. Because my father, being a son of a chief, son of like a prime minister, he was the only son. The brother had died. He had 7 sisters, the only son. So they were like, now you need to get a woman, get children, and raise a heir for the throne, like the chiefdom. So he marries for the purpose of getting a son. So when she married, my father and my mother, they married, she gave birth. The first child was a girl. The second child, also a girl. The third child, also a girl. Now, by the 4th child, the entire family, the chiefs, the tribe, they're all like, this woman is a waste. Because in my tribe, if you have only girls, they say you don't have children. So they wanted a heir. So in desperation, she went different witch doctors in different parts of the nation. And so she went, they told her, we're going to help you conceive. Then she conceived the 5th child, who was now also a girl. She went on different witch doctors, different altars, and also she conceived again, the 6th child, also a girl. And she tells me that she was so desperate because she knew if she can't get a son, she will lose the marriage. And now her life will be wasted. Though at that time, she told me that someone told her that there is someone who can help her conceive a son. She had gone to all kinds of altars in Uganda and outside Uganda. She had traveled different parts and gave different sacrifices. She had the money. She could sell her properties to travel different places to help her conceive. So on this particular journey where she went, she was told to go to a forest in Tanzania. There's a place in Tanzania, northern Tanzania. There was a place. So she went there, and she realized that when she arrived at the place, they told her she had to undress and live in the forest for 7 days, going through cleansing, before she appears before the person to help her. Now, there's something I want us to note here, that was the kingdom of darkness, but they understand the principle of consecration and cleansing. Now I understand after that. So they tell her you have to undress stay in the forest, cold, don't eat anything cooked for 7 days. So after the 7 days, you are clean enough to appear before this priest who was going to help her. So she says when she appeared after 7 days, that this priest was a woman who always lived in the forest. And she was like the chief witch of the entire continent, because all the witch doctors of Africa, all the witches or the wizards or the sorcerers or the politicians, the leaders could go to her for powers. So she lived in the forest, that woman, that priest, and she had only one breast, like one breast in the middle of the chest, and for 7 days. Wow. And then after 7 days, you appear before her. That was the ritual. And it was like everyone had to go through that. So there were many people there. So she said when she appeared, when she came to her, she looked at that witch, that priest looked at my mother and said, "Go away, I will not help you." So she has been in the forest for 7 days. And now she's walking away. She says this. Now, this is what she told me. She said, as she was going away, she looked in the sky and saw a sign, something that told her that she has a son. She doesn't know what told. So she walks back to the place where they register, and she tells them, "Please, I want to go and try again." Then they tell her, "But also, if you try again, you have to go again through another 7 days." Now, the 7 days she went through, and then she went another 7 days, that's 14 days. Later, I'll be sharing with you, when I was sick, my deliverance, I had to go through the same cycle of being delivered. The 7 days and another 7 days, but now in the church setting. Because I want to tell people that salvation is free, but deliverance is a price of consecration and being set apart. So she says that, so the second time, the next 7 days, she goes to appear. And when the priestess saw her, said, "You are back. You are back." Then my mother tells me, said, "Okay, I'm back, but you need to help me." Then this woman looks at her and says, "Well, I can help you, but I can see." Now, I don't know what eye they were using. "I can see in the spirit you have a son, but he's very far in the rocks." Now, that's the statement of my mother. He's far in the rocks, and there is a strange star on him. If I bring him out, he will be a problem to our powers. The only thing I can do, if you can offer sacrifices, but also if you can accept the condition we shall give you. So my mother asked, "What sacrifice?" They told her, "I have to give 7 cows for 9 months. That is 63 cows as a sacrifice." Then say, "Okay, I'll do that." Because she was desperate and she had the means. Then they tell her, "Okay, that is 63. So then the other condition was, okay, if you conceive and give birth, and this is a boy, you promise you will offer him to that woman, the princess, as a husband." She didn't know what it means. She didn't know what it meant. First telling me she didn't know that it was that. And then they told her that, okay, when you give birth, you must bring that child to the forest before the end of the first day. In other words, before the sun goes over him. She tells me she didn't know what was involved in. So she left, offered the sacrifice, returned home, she conceived. To her surprise, she gave birth to a boy. Now, the vow was to carry that boy from the city where she gave birth to the forest around 300 and maybe 400 kilometers away from the city. And that is 1975. The transport means was not that good. I don't know how she traveled. So she travels from the city in Kampala to go to fulfill the vow. What shocked her, she tells me, when she arrived at the forest, this time she didn't go through the ritual, but there was like a wedding. Hundreds of people were gathered. They knew she was coming. Gathered for what? And she realized it was now going to be the wedding of her 1-day-old son and the 60-year-old woman. And what she told me, the wedding was conducted by the witches of the continent, fast, and then the bishop of the diocese also came and conducted the wedding between this 1-day-old boy and a 60-year-old woman in the forest. So, that was also when she told me, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, Bishop so-and-so," which I knew. Later I'll share how he got involved in my life. And now he moved me from that same bishop, from the witchcraft to the occult, because they are different. So for her, when she reached there were all these people, the celebrations from different parts of the continent had come to the forest for the wedding. Now, according to her, that was the moment where this woman, the witch, was to transfer her powers to the boy, the 1-day-old boy. Now, I was 1 day old. I didn't know what was happening. So after the ritual, after the ceremony, days of celebration and the wedding, the marriage is conducted, the covenant and all the sacrifices. So they tell her, "You know what? Now, this child is not just a child. This is now a man. So you're not going to breastfeed him. Now, he is somebody's husband already." And she told me that in her mind, she said, well, okay, I'll go home. These people will not be there. I have to breastfeed my child. You know, I've suffered a lot. I've paid the price. I have done all this. Like he was treasuring this child. So she returns home. When she went home, my father said, "Where have you been?" I said, "Okay, I had all this and this." Because when she left hospital, she just went to so my father, "Where's my wife?" She's looking around. So when she appeared, so "Where have you been?" The only thing he knew, my mother could disappear for days and you know where he has gone. So when she returned home, she says, I was a baby. She put me in the baby cot, in the bed, then go dress up, clean up, and then come and breastfeed the child. And when she returned, she found a python coiled around the baby. A python. And she says she could not come near because of the python. So she ran out. The people of the village came around. My father came around. They could see the snake, and no one could come in. So she says for 30 days, for 3 months, she could not come near me. So she says she didn't breastfeed me. She didn't come near me. The whole village could come and just peep in, and then there was rumors around that this woman gave birth to a child and a snake. Now, I heard those rumors when I was growing up. It was the talk of the town in their community. You know, that child is a twin. They could say, he's a twin. He was born with a snake. But my mother says, no, she didn't give birth to a snake. The snake just came when she came back to the house. Now, I don't understand how this was done. So after 3 months, my father left. Now, he picked the 6 girls and left the home. She remained alone. And because of that, my mother got a mental breakdown. So she was not like a mad woman in the community. So she's left alone with a child, a demon child, with a brother who was living with her. Now the husband, my father, and the children left, so she's deserted. So by the time I'm 3 years old, the only person I know is my uncle and my mother, who has no attachment with me. Why? She's mentally disturbed. She always spend all her time alone in the bedroom. There's no way. So as a child, I didn't have any attachment with her. I didn't see my sisters. I didn't meet my father. The only person now I know is my uncle, the young brother to my mother, who was also, I don't know what happened. He was also addicted to alcohol. So he could drink and what. Now, so he tells me, I remember as the other 3, when he was drinking his alcohol, he could give me, because that's the only thing he had. My mother did not breastfeed me. The husband had left, deserted her. And she tells me that the day my father left, and with my sisters, is the day the snake left also. So when he left, also it left. So she remained with this child, but now she was so hurt. She was so heartbroken. And then she got into a mental breakdown because of the husband leaving her. She's alone. And so as a child, I'm in that house with only my uncle. all the community, the relatives, the people in the community, no one comes to our home because the talk of the community, the talk of the village is, in that house, there's a snake. And there is a boy who was born. The only person I know is my uncle. And one day, we are staying in a small room with him. I remember I was 2 and 4. I have this memory. And then the door, someone hit the door, opened it, and my uncle came running. And then these 5 guys, they were soldiers. By that time, the nation was in a civil war. So they came into the house. I don't know why. They came chase my uncle. Then they shot him. But what surprised me that they didn't kill him. They shot him 5 times and watched him bleed. Like, I'm sitting there, and they shoot, wait, they shoot, wait, they shoot, wait, they shoot, wait, they shoot, wait. And then deliberately, I remember they are shooting in parts that will not kill him instantly. So then I see these men are standing there in the room, and they're watching him, and he's bleeding and bleeding slowly. After they made sure that I'm there, so they bring me near him, they shoot him when I'm near him, and they watch his bleeding and bleeding and bleeding, and I saw him die. So like he bled for like 2 hours, they're there watching, and when like he stopped like moaning, groaning and crying, and then he slowly died, and that way I blacked out. So when I blacked out, when I woke up the next morning, the people in the community had come around to see what happened. I realized I'd become a different person. I realized by that time something had left, the human, like I was not human. From that time until I got born again at 24, my greatest joy was to cause misery. I was a sadist. I enjoyed causing trouble, killing. I enjoyed like seeing people suffer, and that could bring me joy. But I can trace that happened the day, like now I've understood after I became a Christian, when I was going through my healing, because I got saved, but the healing took time. It took like 10 years to get it. My healing, especially deliverance and healing, took 10 years because parts of my life were fragmented. I later understood that at that moment, a part of my soul was trapped. And later I realized that after I got married. Because when I got married, I could not relate with my wife as husband and wife. So I went in prayer, and then the Lord took me to that moment when I was 3 years and showed me when I blacked out what happened. Because God is all-knowing. Jesus is all-knowing. So to deliver me, he had to show me what happened when I blacked out, what happened to my soul, where was I trapped. Mm-hmm. So when I got married, I married when I was 36, very late. So I was a 36-year-old man, but my soul was 3 years. So I remained trapped at 3 years. But now I was a man, even born again now, got married, but I could not relate with my wife as husband because I had been that trauma. So when that happened, my uncle was dead, and I became a different person. Those people in the occult came to my mind and say, you know what has happened to your brother? It's because we want this boy. You have to give her now officially to us. You have to surrender him to us. So she tells me, but now this one I remember it. She got me, and there is a place where this the headquarters of the occult in our nation. It's like a cave. They said it's like a cult, as if they believe in God but not God. They don't believe in the Bible. It's like a cult where politicians go and even religious leaders. So she takes me to this place. This place, like it's a cult, it's like a religion. Now, when their leaders die, they don't bury them. They embalm the bodies and pile them in a cave, the dead bodies. So she took me and handed me over to those people. Now, remember my uncle is dead. I have this pain. And now the only person I know now remaining is my mother. So she hands me over to these people who I don't know. They get me. Now, remember, I have the trauma. Just lost my uncle. Put me in a cave with dead bodies. lock it for 3 days and 3 nights without food, without water. A few weeks from the death of my uncle. So now I remember the pain and the betrayal I felt as a child, that now my only mother, the one who I thought would protect me, has handed me over to these people who have now locked me in a cave with dead bodies, pitch dark, day for 3 days, hungry without food. Now, so what happened in that cave? It's the things I saw inside there those 3 days, like the spirits, Lucifer, the demons, could come and talk to me. Serpents could come into my body. All kinds of things were done on my body. So it was being initiated into deep occultism, witchcraft, like every part of my body. Now, that's the first time I am knowing about the snake, which now my man to tell me which came at birth. I remember it came around me, coiled around me in the cave and entered my body. And, all my life until I got born again, it lived in my body. I could know when it's moving. I could know, you could tell something is moving in the body. It's like now the spirit in this snake took over and now it could control me. Now, from that time, I want to say this, until the day I got born again, all my life I was in pain. There's no day I remember I was not in pain until the day I gave my life to Jesus for 24 years. Every day, that pain was there in my body. All because that thing had to keep me in pain in order to use me. Because if Satan controls you through pain, because it has to manipulate you to control you. So it had to keep in my body. I could not eat well. I could not live well. So the only way I could avoid pain is to be drinking. So I began drinking drink alcohol, and I became addicted to alcohol. Yeah, because it controls the pain. And also, you can give your life to Jesus Christ, but you need, first of all, deliverance, and you need also healing to restore your soul. Because if you've given yourself to the enemy, the first thing he will fragment your soul and keep all different parts of your soul in different prisons. The bitterness, anger, unforgiveness, guilt, hatred, traumas, all these. Now, each one of them is like a print on your life and now has given you a false identity and personality, which is not you. So you have the identity and the personality of the demons that are now residing in those pits where the pain is. So I have the pain. I hate my mother and I hate everyone. I don't know my father. So the enemy, every time is to use me, is to remind me that humans are bad. You have to kill them. You have to do this. They are evil. They are bad. They hate you. Remember, there's no emotional attachment. Because as a child is growing up, the love you get from your parents is what now grows in you. So now, because there was not that, emotionally, I didn't have I was emotionally trapped. I didn't understand what's love, what's fear. I never cried. I never laughed because I didn't understand this. You see, when I come out, what surprised me, hundreds of people are waiting for me. So they come out and they're worshiping. Like I'm like a god. They're bowing and worshiping. 4 years old. So I said, what's going on? Now my mother has no access to me, has no authority over me, because now that's when I know now I've been initiated and ordained as a witch. So from that time, there's a part of me that's human. I want to be a child. But then the people treat me like a power. You want to play, but no one comes next to you. First of all, no parent will allow their child to come near you. You see? 2, you are busy. People could come every day and night for help, to get powers, to get what. Then some of them are as old. One of the things that I so painful, even I remember right now, and read it had a lot of the people as older than my mother could come, and they have to undress to be naked before me, women, and then you have to give them powers. Now, if a 4-year-old you're exposed to such, that affects your life. And even today, it affected my life until Jesus healed me. You're seeing naked women and naked men. You are a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old. That affects you, the way you look at people, the way you think, So what Satan does is to abuse, you see when people abuse children, people think it's just lust. Sometimes it's initiation. They're initiating them. When they expose them to pornography, when they expose them to all these things, like men and who abuse children, and in my ministry, I found that many people who are struggling to be healed and delivered, it happened, their exposure was in childhood, between 1 and 6. Those who were sexual abuse, those who were molested by teachers, parents, siblings, and all. And it is a gate the enemy uses to trap the soul. So mine was trapped. The killing of my uncle, trauma, trapped me. Then the betrayal of my mom trapped me. But then the years of being exposed to such things, like women and men come to you every day, have to undress, sit naked before you. And now the home where I'm living, my father left. It's like now a hospital. It's like because the other woman had powers transferred now. So they know where they call me the baby. They call me the baby witch, where the baby witch is. So they can come for powers, for what and what. And I would say this, sometimes I fear to say, but I would say even some people in church circles could come to pastors and bishops. Some of them could come to me for powers in their so-called ministries. And so when I got born again, the Lord led me to most of them who were still alive and could say, you remember what you are doing, and you need to confess and to repent and turn away. And many could say, I have the name, the big congregation. I can't. People will run away from me. And I tell you, I'm going to expose you. But the Lord told me now, expose them will not help.
You said you were going to...
I'm going to expose them. But the Lord told me, exposing them will not help. What will help is them to repent. But for years, I feared. I knew how dangerous it was until 2016 when I shared my testimony. I had never shared my testimony until 20. What you heard, it was my first time I'm sharing my life story. Because at that time, when I left that place, that cave, the spirit world and the natural world could be before me 24 hours. I could see them like I'm looking at you. So I could know people's past. I could know where they're coming from. And I could know what is done in secret. I could know who will be the leader, who will be the president, what will be done, who needs to, and all that. So everything was bare. I could see. In fact, it's when I got born again that the Lord cut that, because it was not God. He had to cut that. And many people, when they get born again, who have been the occult, they don't want to let go that. So they confess Jesus, but still the powers, they have their advantages and what they think advantages. So the Lord had to lead me into years of deliverance to cut off that. So I am 6, I am 4, now I'm doing that. When I'm 7, I am made a territorial witch. In the occult, the king of darkness, it's about territories, as the church should have been. Now, each one has a territory, and in that territory, you have maybe 5,000 or 7,000 witches in a certain territory who are submitting to your powers and to your altars. So you are in charge of a territory. So I was in charge of southern Uganda and northern Tanzania. So that was a region which is called the Kagera-Katonga region. Kagera is a river. So they divide the nations by rivers or by mountains. So say from this river to this river is your territory. So I'm made in charge of that territory when I'm 7, the youngest. When I was 7. Over 7,000. And I was made that as a 7 years. When I was 7 years. So, and, when you are made territorial, leader in the territory, your first assignment is to destroy the one you're taking over from. So you have to destroy and kill all his priests and his witches, destroy everything, even him, for you to do that. So, because the king of darkness is about destroying. The devil came to kill, destroy, and rob. So you destroy others for you to reign. So the one who is in charge knows if another one is coming, they're coming to fight and kill. So there's that destroying. So I take over the territories, and they say I remember they would say, this boy is wicked. Others, they had that human side of them, like pity and love, though they were in witchcraft. But now me, who didn't have any emotion, raised without emotion, raised without a family, raised in bitterness, raised in anger, in rage, in all kind of hatred. So I could not feel anything like pity, like mercy and what. Because now they know another prince is rising has to destroy the others. So they attack, you attack. And then if you are able to destroy them, let them, when they die, then you take over the territory. So I took that territory for only 2 years. After 2 years, I had finished my assignment. And then I am made to be a trainer. Whoever wants to be trained in all kinds of astral projections. So I'm now beginning to be a trainer. As I said, that my mother, though she had that mental problem, she kept thinking that she can break this and I become a normal child. By the way, I'm also going to school at the same time. My mother took me to school, and I remember most of my teachers in the earlier years, I could be in school like thrice or 4 times in a term. But surprisingly, all my school up to university, I was always the best. But I was not attending classes. I could not attend classes, but I knew like I could go and write my exams and be the best without attending classes. And I can't tell how. So I could, as a child, I want to be, there's a part of me already that longed to be a child. You know, even when I grew up and I became born again, I found that I find so attached to children than there's like a baby in me still longing to be a child. Because I missed that as a child. I missed that as a baby. I didn't have that love. So it's like there's a part of me, a part of my life that was skipped. And it's not only me. I believe I've found many people in my ministry of deliverance that their child was robbed. And I know some people watching right now, that may be one of the issues you're dealing with. Your child, a part of you was trapped as a child. There are many accidents and all this. And when your child is taken away robbed from you, you may find it hard to function in an adulthood unless the Lord can trace back the moment of the trauma, the moment of the abuse, and move and carry you through to bring to a place of healing. Now, for me, my child had taken away. Though, as I was growing up, I want to relate with people. I wanted to be, there's a part of me that longed, I could look at children and want to be like them. But then, if I relate with them, then the powers in me could maybe destroy them out of my account. So I can look at a child like in school and I feel like the child just falls down and collapses and faints. Or I look at a teacher. I remember one time I was in like early years, after kindergarten, I looked at the teacher, maybe she shouted at me and she became blind. Because I think she tried to find out and say, so she came to me and said, can you help me get back my sight? I said, okay, you will. Then the next day she was seeing. And so she told everyone in the school then that they feared to send me out of the school because they didn't know what will happen to the school. Now, that's the early years. So these forces were in me, out of my control. I didn't do them by my will. Because remember, as a 3-year-old, you're trapped in a cave. So it's as if your will is blocked. You are taken, something has taken over your life. And I know there are people even who today, they have not recovered their will. If they were involved in the occult, in witchcraft, in abuse, in all these, they may have been trapped. That's why they need inner healing. They need deliverance. They need now someone to walk them the journey of healing. You know, people can hear the gospel, but there must be a ministry that facilitates the healing of the soul, especially the people that were trapped, especially in childhood. There's what they call the sexual abuse, the ritual sexual abuse. And because when I was there, most of these businessmen, the musicians, the celebrities could come for powers. And the way to get the powers, say, go and find a young child, a virgin, and rape her, sexually rape her, maybe 7. Like they're going to have a show. And say, for that show to be successful, find a girl, like a show, like a music show. And they come for power and said, for that power, you need to find girls, rape them, sexually abuse them. Politicians to businessmen and all this for spiritual powers. No. They found that a part of them was robbed and taken away. And some of them, like this, for example, let me give an example. A musician, a celebrity, who gathers young girls around himself to use them every time before he goes for a concert. So those girls, they have been initiated. And then they go to their friends in schools and initiate also their friends and maybe relatives, like their brothers, their sisters, and expose them to the powers of darkness. Isolation, rebellion, addiction, anger, known or unknown, because some of them, they receive what they call guardians, a voice takes over their lives, and they have like a multiple personality, like another person. You see like young people who like suddenly they call themselves someone else. Say, I'm so and so, and you can discover that now another being is in charge of this person. So that is the initiation of what is being done. But we go back to the story. The way it takes me to help, I destroy them. And I'm wondering why. Because if I was in the same kingdom like them, why was I destroying them? And what was that which was destroying them? Was it the enemy destroying the enemy, or it was God destroying the enemy? So even today I'm saying, why was that? Was the Lord involved in my life, or was something else? So when I was 12, that's when the story I said about, on my way to there, so she tells me the story of how I was conceived, what happened in conception. To her, like, maybe she was trying to convince me to say, please, let's seek help. And I could see she was begging. A lot of things happened during that journey. I could stir up the ocean, then different things. Then she could beg, please don't, please don't. So we traveled to this place in Pemba. When we arrived there, I tried to attack that man as a child. And the man begged. I remember he took me and said, yeah, man, I am old. I've finished my work. Don't waste your power on me. So like he begged, and I did not attack him. And she told my mother, she said, woman, no witchcraft, no diviner, no witch can help this boy. If you need him to be helped, take him. That man was called Sultan. He was a Muslim. Said, take him to the church. And that's a witch. Take him to the church. No one can help him. And my mother said, no, you know what? And the man told my mother, now let me show you that no one can help him. So he built a hut, built with mud and what, and put me in the hut and covered with grass and set it on fire. My mother was crying. My son said, no, you wait. So when the fire died, I was not in the hut, in that small house. My mother said, what happened? Then he told her, he's back home. You go home. He has returned home. Not using now the mean, not using the car, and I projected back home. Now that one, I knew how to do it. I began that at the age of 5, 6. So I left the hut, traveled back home, because from the age of 6, I could do astral travels, travel from different places without using natural means. So that man tells my mom, take him to the church. So she comes home, finds me back home normal, and say, why did you do this? So she gets me and takes me to the bishop who conducted the wedding. Because that's the church she knew. She tells that bishop, about me, what I've been doing. And he says, yes, I've been hearing about him, but I think we can help him. Now, I realized later, he accepted me not to, because now it was like put me in school, in the seminary, like join like the seminarian to be a priest. But what he wanted was to investigate these powers. So he puts me in this school in a seminary, and he is interested. I remember he could call priests and bishops to just sit around me and like investigate and ask me questions, interview me about the powers, about the forces. And it's supposed to be like in a normal school, because early in the seminary, you're like in a normal secondary school. I am there, and I thought I was now going to be like a student, go learn about the Bible, learn about God, and become a priest. I realize now, interested in not even to educate me, they're interested in the powers. So most of the time, I am there from the age of 12. That year I'm there. I am living in the same house with a priest. And every night they come with books, with what to ask me about the spirit world. So they ask me this and that and that. And I enjoy it. I enjoy being in charge. All my life, I always enjoy like to be in charge, to control others. Like there was a deficit in me, and so I'm telling them about the powers. They are writing this, they are writing, like researchers, they are sitting around me. But I'm not learning about God. I'm learning, I'm not learning, they are teaching from me. So I remember the end of the year, this bishop and another priest, they told me, we have a scholarship for you. We are going to send you to Europe for training. And so in me, I thought, okay. But they told me they needed the consent of my father. So my father, that's the first time I'm seeing my father. He came to the school to sign the papers, sign my documentation, because I was now going to be moved from Uganda to go to Europe. 13, and now they tell me you have a scholarship to go and study in Europe. Now, for the sake of the sensitivity of this, I may not mention. So I'm sent to Italy okay. I'm going without my mother. I'm going alone with a group of priests. I remember the 2 priests had come from Italy. They were sent from Italy to come and investigate, interview me, and make a recommendation. So they asked me about the spirit world, about these, about powers, about systems. And they're like, wow, how did you know all this? You've never gone to school. You've never gone to a theology or to any university, but you know all the things about the spirit realm, about history, about what. How? So they say, oh, we need to go with you. So they carried me. Now I leave. I go with them. They come. They pick me up. We go through Rwanda. They picked another girl there. I don't know why. Who had also strange powers. So we fly from Rwanda to, now we go through France. We stay there for some time. And that's when I discovered that now I have been being moved from the African witchcraft, the crude witchcraft. Now I'm being initiated into the occult. The occult is a system. Actually, it's Satanism, the alliance of those that subscribe to Satan. Most witchcraft is about people's traditions and cultures, things they do and what they learn. But now this one is literally the worship as a figure. In witchcraft, about the spirits and the powers. But now then it's like a system, a religion. So when I went there, I'm put in a religious house where what happened there is the worst experience I went through. Because to break my will a second time, I have to be exposed to death and sexual abuse. So I am trained in the occult, but for the 5 years from 13 to 17, 18, almost every day I am molested and sexual abused. So by men, by priests. So they have to do that on me. I've written this in my book. That's the most, because they want to pluck out every aspect of me. So you during the day, you are like what they call the altar boys. You are like, you put up during the day, you are like a trainee being trained to be a priest. So you put on the gown, you attend mass, you do all this. Now, when you go back to the house, what they call the brother's house, you are molested as a boy by these men. They abuse you. They do all kind of things to break you, because Satan cannot destroy Satan. These are in a higher ranking, because now it's all about the witchcraft and what it's about now, the system, the sorcery system, which rules the world. And they say, which controls all the powers of the world. It's more not just a local witch somewhere. It's now a satanic system that controls the world. Actually, my finishing is during those abuses and many years, I also got a mental breakdown. And they took me to a psychiatric hospital for 6 months. And then pumped drugs, and psychotic drugs every day, in that I may be completely mad, that I never recover. It's like a way of now they're going to use your body, but you're not in your senses. So the 6 months I'm in this hospital, like a psychiatric hospital, they are trying to access information without my will. Like they sedate you and begin to ask you questions. So they're using you to access information, but you're not but the pain you go through, because when they put you in these drugs, like the antipsychotic drugs, they sedate you, and then also they are molesting you in that state, sexually molesting and abusing you in the hospital. And so all that we go, they are crushing your soul in order to use your soul to get information that they cannot access. So that's what happened for me all those years, the mental breakdown. So then after the 6 months in that hospital, in the mental hospital, they realized they had not broken my will completely. What I'm still not saying that sometime, I've written this in my book, sometime they discovered that there's a part of me they could not access. It's as if God was involved and sealed a part of my life that they knew there's something I know, but they could not access it. So to do that, they had to molest me, abuse me, sedate me, drugs, put me on drugs and different things, in order to break me, because there's a part they could say like, we have had different people who have been used, but this one is a bit blocked somewhere. What I'm trying to say that God, in his power, in his ability, preserved me even when I didn't know him. There's a part of me that he kept sealed, because if they had accessed that, maybe it would have been hard for me to come out. I'm there, so they tried to break me and they could not. So they decided to bring me back home to Uganda. Now in that state, so I return home, and I go by like a normal child, normal young man, like for 6 months, and then the two priests come back to Uganda from Italy again to when they came to me. Now they came with love. Remember the first time this man came to me, he said, I want to be your father. And that is what opened me up. Now, when he said, I want to be your father, I love you as a father, I am your father. The moment he said, I want to be your father, now I had to reveal whatever. Like I opened up all my senses, and then because I had opened up, so he takes me back. And then that's when he's in there initiating me as a guardian master, because I have openly accepted what they want. Before I was deceived. When I was young, I was taken by my mother. When I was taken to Italy, I went not knowing, so they could not break my will. So they bring me back. He comes to me this time and then he says, I want to be a father. I remember Mr. Father. I want to love you. So he came with love. And for the first time, I felt accepted, loved, accepted. And now, because he said, I want to be I want to love you. I want to be this to you. I want to do this. You're a good man. So I open up to him. Now he's embracing me as a father, and I'm the baby in me is longing for a father. So when he texts me, then he says, oh, you know what? Okay, now we're not forcing you. You're going to be a guardian master. This is a higher level, but also now you are you're not a servant. You now appear with them. Like now you've come into the ruling circle to decide. So the time you're going to make your guardian master, you return to Africa, because there are always like 5 in the entire continent. You're going to be part of this council of the guardian masters, and you're going to do our work, our system. You're not going to be in the witchcraft. You're going to be normal. You're going to go to university. You're going to have money. You're going to have an organization. You're going to work with leaders in the nation. You're going to work with them. So like, you're going to be like a representative of the system in your country, but in the region. So I'm in charge of the Great Lakes region, another in charge of the Southern Africa, another in the Western, another in Northern, another in Sub-Saharan, all these regions. So when they told me, okay, now you're not going to be a slave or a servant. Now you're one of us. You're a leader. You're a great man, and all this. So they ordained me as a guardian master of that system. And they sent me back to Uganda to go and identify 5,000 young people and recruit them. Now, the young people was to find the young people in universities. So I was to go and become a student in the university and identify bright students in medicine, in law, in education, and recruit them in Satanism from the university. So by the time they finish university, they already recruited. So they go in the marketplace already. For example, this is a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, that initiated, very educated, so you cannot know. Then, like, you can't say this doctor is a witch or this lawyer is an agent of witchcraft and all this. So my work was to return to Uganda, go to the university, become a student there, identify such students, sponsor them, give them all they need, give them the best education, send them to different universities in the world, return to Uganda and take over the marketplace. So that was my work. Then another work was identify the churches the men of God who are still not compromised, break their powers, break their marriages, break their businesses, break their churches, destroy them, because they were a threat. Men of God attack them, break their marriages, break their businesses, scatter them. There are specific ones, like this one, like this one, like this one, like, especially men who were not compromised, but also I've observed that men who were committed to prayer, not preaching prayer. Well, most of my attacks were on prayer ministries, churches that were praying, the churches where we were calling people to fast, to repentance, to holiness. So my work was raise these young people, young girls and young boys. While you're raising them, you're training them also to break churches, to defile men of God, go into the churches, sexuality, immorality, take them in there. So kill the fire, because as long as the fire, you've killed the fire of prayer, then we can control a territory. So I was at the university, and I'm doing that, getting young people. How do I get them? Through parties, orgies, organized concerts, buy them what they need, give them parties and what, drink, give them drugs. And because most of, like in my country, most people are poor. So when a child comes from a poor family, when you bring them like a car, buying you a car, I'm buying you an apartment to live there, you can use them whatever you want. I remember at that time, my annual budget was like between $500,000 and $600,000 a year. No, that's late 90s. That's 96, 97, 98. So that's the money I was getting, because through I could get all the money, but also that could bring the money. People in government, money launderers, and all, they could bring money to me, because that's the only way they can stay in do their trade if they submit to me. The drug, the dealers and what, they could not, because if they could be arrested by police, but the police now would be part of my system, part of my people. Mm-hmm. So for them to do all that, they had to bring money. So I had access to money, to powers, to people in authority. So I could have all the means to defile, to deceive, target the young people, especially the bright ones who are good and different. So there's this child who is good, he's bright, he's clever, but has no money. He's coming from a poor family. I'll pay your tuition, I'll pay your money, I'll get you this. And then they get so excited. Then later, after they are trapped into the money, into the cars, and say, okay, by the way, what you've been getting comes from this one. Now you need now to be initiated. And some of them could not say no. You see, some of them die or get mad because they've already been initiated without them even accepting the money, by accepting the sins and all the kind of immorality they get involved in. But also some of them could create scandals around them. Like if you're a lecturer and you create a scandal around you that, they trap you with a girl, then they film you, get the scandal into the papers, and then when at the lowest, you're losing your job. So we come with a solution. We can stop this. We can help you get back your job, stop the media house from publishing your story. So if you can do what now I'm doing Satanism and occultism publicly, Makerere University. Wow. So I'm doing it on different campuses. I'm organizing parties, I'm organizing all these night parties and whatnot, and I'm doing it public because I had the money, I had the means that I could bring in a musician to come and have a concert and then pay for everything. So like I was doing public a little bit. So while I'm doing that, I'm enjoying it, and actually I'm progressing well. Then in the year 1999, early 19, it was around April, I think, things were not working well. I felt like we are losing ground. In 1996, I was told with my people to move away from Uganda and stay away for some time. Now, what happened? A group of people, a man of God, Apostle John Malindi, and his team had gone into a prayer time for a longer time, maybe more than a year of prayer and fasting. And they had taken over the whole country, and we could not operate there. So I was told, please move out until we get a strategy to disarm him and put his powers low so that for you to operate. So he had raised a prayer in the nation, and that prayer had cast completely away all the altars of the kingdom of darkness. He had completely wiped out the altars. Completely. Because I remember I was told, please don't operate. Cease every action and stay away. So when we returned later in 1997, 98, things were not easy, but we're now their ministry. We had infiltrated their ministry, his ministry, and broken the wall around him, because his strength was about the protection around him. The people, not him as a man. Now, because of the people who were praying around him, praying for him, he could ascend in the spirit, come like an authority. Could speak one word and you hear it echo for days. So by that time, we had to get all his tapes, listen to them, and identify, why is this man so powerful, so strong? Every word he says, you feel like causes a vibration in the spirit. So like, you could literally be listening to his tape, but you're like, I don't know if we shall finish it. Now we're in the occult. We are listening. We're trying to map his life. Then we are mapping his family, his background, then we realize the people around him, that every time he begins to preach, he's not the one preaching. They are the one preaching through him, because he is connected in them. They've prayed so much for him. They prayed so much around him that he picks whatever is in them, and when he amplifies it. Yes, that's why, like, the power of agreement. So like, the whole team around him, they are so much in agreement that when he stands to speak, it's as if they're all of them speaking in one voice. So, and because of that, even if he prays or just say one word, it could be like a whole force and energy that goes through the entire realm. So he was in charge of the realm. Not even saying, I bind, I break. No, actually he didn't. All he was, sometimes he teaches. Sometimes he could be just teaching the Bible, sitting with the people. He could teach a Bible, like a truth. And then the people pick it. And then you could see like the whole atmosphere has been changed because of what he's just talking to the people. Like I'm having conversation. And as I will talk, the entire realm is charged. Now he is a principality over the nation. Him as a man, because of the network, because of the wall around him. So by the people that were assigned, I was not among them. The people were assigned to go, were not to attack him, but to break the wall, to identify the thing that could cause them to be offended, and then withdraw their protection, their prayer around him. Like, now, this man is in the center, and now the wall is breaking. People are leaving. People are being taken away. And I want to say this to people that are watching this, that sometimes the man of God has given you, he has the authority, but his authority depends on you who are around him, who are building. It's about the hedge around him. And if that hedge is broken, and before even they reach him, he has lost his position. Because in the realm of the spirit, it's about positions. Even we have positions of intercession. As an intercessor, you gain a position in the spirit to be a territorial intercessor. But that position, to remain there, to maintain that position, there must be people around you who God has called and assigned to be gatekeepers and watchmen, to watch over your life, to see that the enemy cannot reach you. Because for you, for example, you're leading, God has given you the call and the vision. But there are those that must build the walls around you. They must surround you. And when the enemy comes, must break these walls. And that's what happened to this man of God, that the walls were broken. And when the walls were broken, what happened? So his authority, he has not sinned. He's not fallen in sin. The enemy has not even attacked him personally, but his influence has been low. Because, when Jesus said, well, if 12 of you on earth agree. So the power is, you speak the same words, but now they don't carry the same power. Like we call them power words. Like you can say Jesus, nothing happens. Another one says Jesus, and miracles happen. The same word, but from a different place. So this meant the people around you, they hope that, like, they become a wall around your consecration, you see? And they know our assignment is not to compete with a man. Our assignment is to guard him. And God has assigned us this responsibility. And I want to say this, many people today, men of God, have not fulfilled their destiny Not because they sinned, but because the men and the women that God assigned around them left their place. And this, many we may judge a man is not doing this, but as he was doing the work, he had to have a wall around him. And the men and the women that God had brought around him, instead, they began competing to get the same platform. All they tried to want and create their own platforms. So when I returned to Uganda, after that, I've been functioned, 1999, I get a call. I'm summoned to go to Sicily's Island. Sicily Island is in the Indian Ocean there. There's a city called Victoria. I'm called that there's a conference. So I go in this conference, and all these power, these riches, these occultic leaders. So they're in this very big hotel in Victoria City, very expensive hotel. They are there for a conference. And then they tell me, one of the reasons of this conference we want is about your country. I said, why? And they say, it's in the year 1999, and we have to be in charge of all the highways. But there's a highway, the highway of the Nile, from Uganda to Egypt, through Syria to Israel. That's the highway in the book of Isaiah. That highway, that Isaiah 19 highway, we are not in charge. We have failed to take it. And the reason we failed to take it is there's a people that have blocked that highway, and they're taking over the entire, not only Uganda, but take over the nation, the world. I say, people? Say, yes. Which people? They say, the people in your country. I say, it is impossible. Everyone, every man of God in the country, I know them. The churches, I know them. Everything, I know them. They can't be. They said, yes, there's a people, you can't see them because they are hidden in a realm of light. But now those higher in the powers could see the effect of this group. So they tell me they say, there's a people. I say, which people? They tell me, there's a group of women, 20 women, a young man, a pastor, and 20 illiterate women who have taken over the territory. So I am in this conference, Sicily's, and the who is who in the world is there. The important guys, the riches, and they're telling me about a group in my country which I do not know. And I could see in this conference, we had small meetings, the confusion, the terror, the fear. I've never seen this. When we're in the occult, you show this kind of confidence, you're in charge. But in this meeting, men and women didn't know what to do. So they're telling me there is a group. 20 women and a man. Then when they say that, listen, what happened? Maybe people may not understand this. Then I am made without my will. I am made now to begin to report what's going on in Uganda, which I don't know. So I begin to talk like I'm being taken over, and I'm now saying this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, and then I mentioned the name of that pastor, his name, and the power went off in that building. Like the system shut down. And I could see. So, and now they're looking at me as a traitor. Now they think maybe I've come to destroy. I'm not aware of that. Then I'm saying, what came to my mind? I know power. Why is it that when I mentioned that name, and then I realized, this man for years had covered his name in the name of Jesus Christ. So you mention his name, it's as if it's the name of Jesus you're mentioning. That one, there are things that I used to see and kept wondering, maybe there may be some power than the power we have. I began doubting that meeting. First of all, I doubted. When I mentioned the power went off, there was confusion. I could see demons and all disappearing. And I was like, what's going on? So in my mind, So I'm reporting, and they're telling me so I'm reporting about the 20 women and one man. So now I'm not mentioning the name, I'm saying one man, 20 women. Now, what disturbed me at that moment? How could 20 illiterate old women be a threat to all these such powers and systems of the world? That's like I'm telling, where, okay. Then something comes in. They say, these 20 women and 1 man, they began a kind of prayer that the church or the Christians have never known. It has been hidden for generations, but these one have picked it and they are practicing it. They are praying, they are doing what they call covenant prayer. So they had agreed, these women and their pastor, to start to pray for 90 days, every day, for 6 hours, every day. And this was their covenant, that if they are doing 90 days, and maybe on day 80 or 85 or 89, one of them misses 1 minute, they have to start again. So they had agreed that if any of them is sick, so every one of them knew that that's how they were committed to this. I can't tell how he got that revelation. But he called these women and they began praying. Repentance, worship, warfare. Repentance, worship, warfare. Repentance, worship, warfare. 6 hours every day without missing. So they're doing that. And in that conference I was in, I was told that when they began praying, now they were like over 40 days. When they began praying, by the time now they're on that day, we're talking about them, 7,000 churches and pastors that had backslidden were now revived all over the world. Colombia, in Europe, in Japan, whatever, the 7,000 men and churches that had been brought low by us, the occult and their powers. Now suddenly, wherever they are, they could get, you could as if see like this church, this small group was like a powerhouse, like sending power to revive. Now they had said, by that time there were 7,000 that were now, who had backslidden, are repenting. And so every time they come to repent and worship and warfare, 1 man from a different part of the world wakes up from a deep sleep. It's not even the city. It's like 20 miles away from the city. A local church, small one, without even tiles, just a small place. So, but while they're there, ministers, churches in different parts of the world are being revived by their prayer. And this is something we should know, and that even inspires me to pray. You never know. You don't know what goes on in the spirit when you begin to pray, and when you pray consistently. Maybe we shall meet in heaven, and maybe someone tells you revived me, and say when you had that fast, because this pastor and the 20 women didn't know what they were doing. They're just doing it and doing it. But now in the occult, they could realize all these men that had backslidden, that were not praying, suddenly they could wake up. And when they investigate where they get, what is carrying through, they have 21, they have 20. By the time I returned, they had only 22 days remaining. And listen to this. So what I learned, that they said, if they go on with their prayer until the 90 days, they were going to be in charge. We were not going to operate anywhere for the next 70 years. In other words, they were generating power that could take a 70 years revival. The leaders had mapped and said, if they can continue like this and finish their covenant, they are going to secure the gates of the spirit realm and stop satanic operation in the spirit realm for 70 years. And so they were telling me, we have to do whatever it is to make sure they don't stop that. Actually, they were telling me, many have been converted. All many are dead. So after trying all the trusted one, now they come to me and say, we know you can do that, because for you don't have human feelings. You cannot be you can do this. So how much money do you need? What do you need? But you have to stop them because they have only 22 days remaining, and you have to break it before they come to the last day. So they tell me, you are going back to Uganda, not to attack these people, because if you attack them, you'll die. Not to fight them. If you fight them, you'll die. Find a way how you can just interfere with their covenant. Don't attack. Don't fight them. Find a way you can cause at least one of them to be out of covenant. Let me say this. This is very important because we may miss the point. How the spirit realm operates, especially the power of covenant. Many believers, we work together, we are in church, but we are not covenant. It doesn't matter how many hours you pray or how many you are, as long as you're not in covenant, it doesn't make any effect. If two only are in agreement, that's enough. You can be 1,000, but no covenant. And today, in the years of being in church, I've discovered people do not understand covenant living, covenant lifestyle, even the covenant with God. Many Christians are not walking a covenant life. It's like, I'm a Christian, I go to church as I feel, as I like. There's no valid covenant. And in the spirit realm, it's about the covenant. So this group, the 20 women, there were many pastors in the city, there were many in the nation, but these ones had a covenant and they were strong in that covenant. And the enemy, the devils and his agents, they attack covenant. That's why when you rise to pray, to serve the Lord, to take over the territory, the first attack will be on your marriage. Break the covenant. Because the enemy knows the only thing that gives you power is your covenant life. So it breaks your marriage, you are out of covenant with your wife, your marriage breaks, then you've lost the power. Even in church, you break covenant, you don't agree with, and the enemy will come and break the covenant, and then you scatter. Then you go and start another church or you start another ministry. Man is a spirit. And spirits never work in isolation. That's a principle of the spirit. No spirit works, even God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's a principle. So you can't be a lone intercessor. You must be connected to others. That's a covenant. That's why even God, when he's working with us, he came to Abraham and said, this is my covenant with you. After 20 years of work with Abraham, he returned and said, by the way, you cannot go on this. But the Lord tells Abraham, walk before me and be blameless. And this is my covenant with you because of the covenant. So I was talking about the pastor and the women. So they have a covenant. And I'm told, when you go, how much money do you need? I say, okay. They give me the money. They needed like $500,000. And then they say, you can access around 300,000 to use in the operation of only 21 days if you needed money. And they said, but don't attack. Don't fight, because you will die or you'll be converted. I did not attack. I did not fight. But whatever I did, I end up being converted. So when I returned home, in that meeting, we were given books, big books, that had been written about each member of that group. Books about their background, their weaknesses, their history, their families, in order to read them, to know, at least find out what is the pattern in their background, which we can use at least against one. So like they had investigated their families, their foundations. The young man, the pastor, what the book I was given was 500 pages about him, like 10 generations behind him. To read and say, read this and find out what are the patterns. So I had to read and see patterns in the ancestors, in his life, all this and this, so that we can know, okay, if these patterns are there, legal rights that we can use against him. Are there things I can use against him or among the members? So one of the lady who was the one who could see in the spirit, had an issue. So in covenant, had an issue of unforgiveness. She was bitter towards her mother. And I remember when we were going to say, okay, this one will be a gate. Wow. Let's try this one. Let's not attack. Let's go and see if we can use this bitterness to break their covenant. Because we can trace, it has been in the generation, and her and the mother are not okay. So she's bitter towards the mother. And by the way, the mother was dead by that time, but the mother died when this intercessor, who is a seer, remained wounded. So the woundedness and the bitterness, after investigating, we realized, okay, I think let's try. So I returned to Uganda. I called my trusted girls. I had girls I used to work with. I said, we have this assignment. If we win this, all of us are going to be elevated worldwide. We're going to take titles. we're going to become like grandmasters if we win. But if we fail, for me, if you fail, the sacrifice will take from you will be your mother. So they say, either you lose your mother or you win this battle. Because I had that attachment, though my mother, so they said, okay, your mother. And each one of them had to offer a relative, with a father, a brother, someone that if you fail, that one will die. So I return, I sit with them and get a strategy. After reading them, say, okay, we're going to try. 2 of you will try to go and join, not attack, and join. If they allow you to join, they have broken the covenant. They said, we have agreed, the 20 of us and our pastor, to fast and pray these 6 hours every day for 90 days. That was the covenant. So my assignment, I said, okay, when I return, I talked to them. For me, I was to go somewhere under the sky and sit there and enchant day and night for all the days of the 21, where they're on not mission. So I was not going to see any human being or eat or be under a roof, but sit on an open sky and keep enchanting and chanting and speaking curses and curses, but not mentioning their name, but just sending them. You never know, the one may land, because the curse without cause does not alight. So just send thousands. That was my assignment. Now, one of the guys had to go and try to join. So you go. If they allow you to join, now we know we can break the covenant. So we bought her a new car, give her some money to go and join the church. So he comes to the church, the first day comes, and comes to the young man, the pastor, and says, I feel God is telling me to come and join you. So the pastor is about to discern. Then the lady who is offended by the seer comes to tell the pastor, wait, I sense that person coming is not right of God. Then this girl tells her, but why are you chasing me away? But by the way, you talk like your mother. And the moment said that,
listen, we all need to repent right now.
So the moment she went in the flesh, now the moment she's in the anger, don't talk like you were weak. All of them now are under that curse. So she exposed all the team.
So wait.
This is what, when I do the training for the inner sense, that's what I say. They're going high in the spirit, but there's this unresolved issue. And I'm wondering why they ignored it. They didn't want to. They were so, I kept wondering even right now, why do they discern these wounds to deal with as they're going into this assignment? Why did not deal with it? Because it was so simple. I said, wait a minute. When this girl came in and now offended her, she answered and abused. Remember, even in the book of Jude, when we say even Michael could not bring insults when they were contending for the blood of Moses. So she insulted this girl. And now remember, there are thousands of curses flying around. Now, when he insulted the pastor, the young man, because he was young, this one old, he looked at this girl as a peer, like God has answered my prayer, has brought someone who speaks the same language. Now, so when remember, she's offended now. They're offended. So the young man, because could not listen to her, the pastor, trying to mend things, don't be so hard on someone. Said, okay, it's okay, you can sit around, let's finish praying, and I will talk to you. And the other one is angry because now has offended her. Now, remember, and so after the meeting, they prayed like you, she's there. And then the time of offering came, and she gave like 500,000, like 500,000 Uganda shillings. Now, in this place, like the offering is like $1. And someone is giving like $200. And now, like the pastor, but I had told her, when I was reading the life of this pastor, they had shared issues with money. So it was something he used poverty. So even in his messages, you could hear, though he was speaking against money, but he loved it. Like you could say, money bad, someone, you speak against something, but deep inside you could tell it's because he fears it. He has issues with it. So we knew if we can introduce money, we see how he will respond. So this girl gave 500,000. Remember she has come with a new car, and some people in a part of the world, a car is something big. So he receives the money. And now the rest of the team are like saying, but God told us not to take. So like, no, God has blessed us. So there's that disagreement because of the money. She leaves. She comes to me and says, they've received the money. And I told her, as long as they've received the money, now we need to interfere with their worship. Because now they can't reject him. So she goes the second day, and then she comes with a friend, another girl, who they introduce to the pastor. Pastor, this is my friend. She also wants to join. Now, the pastor has forgotten the covenant. Now he's seeing like growth. God is bringing new members. And so, she's a worshiper. Can you let her join and lead in 2 songs? In the moment she came on the altar, the song polluted the altar, we knew we had overcome it. So the pastor, now he was still with them, but we knew we had to separate him from the group. And how could we separate him? We had to make sure his sensitivity in the spirit is low and low. Now, where was he getting his sensitivity? Every morning he could have a morning time to pray and go through healing, like morning devotion. That was what made him strong every day. So I was telling Michael, look, now if we have to find a way of interfering with his quiet time, because that's where he has the strength. If we can interfere there's a covenant with the people, but there's a personal covenant because of the quiet time. So we had to interfere with his sleep. And how was it to be done? We realized he was in covenant with these people, but he had a daughter who was not in covenant. And he had gotten that daughter before he was born again. So it was like a single father living with a daughter. So we realized the attack should not be on him, because we were warned, don't attack him. Don't touch him. Because if you touch him, you're finished. But now pull him away from the covenant. So the attack was to project eczema, skin disease, to the daughter, that in the night he cannot sleep. He's taking care of the daughter. So the daughter cries through the night and is crying and crying and crying. Then he's taking care of the daughter. By morning, the morning time, he's tired. He can't do devotion because of the child. And now he's going to the prayer meeting. He comes to the prayer meeting, and remember, he needs money now to take the child to hospital. And now the money he's going to use is what the girls are giving in. And then one of the girls offer to take the child to the clinic, to the hospital for treatment, and then put more spells on the child. Because now he has surrendered his child to her. Then this other one, we agree, this man has power, still has power. We need to separate him from the core team. So this girl suggests the pastor, I feel like I need to buy you a house. So they now want to move him away from the. Remember, we have come in, we've defiled the covenant, but they're still keeping it. And so now the next is, how can we interfere with his time so that he can not come in time on the altar? That's the last blow. Because all these are done, but he still keeps the time. Still like a whale has the sense of airline. So it's like, buy him a house and far from the place of prayer. So this guy says, well, I'm buying you a house. Oh, he's excited. So he buys him a house, like tells him about a house, furnish it. And now furnish it with defiled food. Like they would put their blood and their in the juices and what. So he comes to this house. Everything is furnished up, free and everything. So he drinks this juice. He takes all this. So he's being defiled in the body. But also he's away from the team who can warn him. And what was the purpose of that? Is to cause him to delay. Because remember, one of the girls is driving him. He's now the driver. So she makes sure he couldn't drive. If God has given an assignment with people, watch those people. But also seek the Lord if there is anything in you that may be used against you. And today people are saying, well, once born again, forever born again. You don't need to go through cleansing. And I look at them and say, look, you don't know. And I know how the great fail, the mighty fail. what happened to them. Those minor things, you think they don't count. You see, even the frames God has brought in your life to raise the ministry together can be used against you if you do not watch over them. You hurt them, they hurt. During the time of prayer, like when he was arguing with these people, he had to bring and say, okay, Lord, we also commit and dedicate this child to you during this time. Like you go into a prayer season time, but you don't bring your wife. You just go, I'm going to sing the Lord. I'm going to the mountain. I'm going to the prayer place to seek the Lord. But you forget that the enemy is going now to go home and use your wife or your child to access. So he was supposed to do that, but he did not. Maybe he did. Another thing that I want to say this. One of the things that we observe in this pastor, he was doing all this, but he was not under spiritual authority. So he had no covering, and we could use that. He had no father over his life to watch over him and protect him. So there was no apostolic authority covering him, and he was doing such a great work. And that's one of the things I have learned to warn people and train when I'm training people. Look, however much God has called you, you need an authority to cover you. And I realized he was not in, because if there was other men and women over his life, they would have discerned and warned him. Remember, in this group, he was the head, Alpha and the Omega. So no one could be over. These ones under him could not now say, we're getting off track. Now, because they could not, that would have been the role of a spiritual father to warn and say, wait, I have seen the spirit, something is happening, but no one was there. So he's being driven away from the altar, isolated. And that's another trick people should learn. One of the things the enemy will do is to isolate you from your team, and isolate you from the men and women that pray for you. You become so busy or so executive. They used to pray with you, see God together. Now you're so huge and big. And now even your intercessor to see you, they need appointment. They can't access you. You're a great man. You are all over the world, over the nations. So you become a big guy. So the enemies are isolating you from the people who pray for you and the people who love you, people who walk with you. Because there are those people that we start ministry with who love us without it. And then these who come later and you say, the ministry has grown. You people, we are becoming so advanced. We need now business plan, business strategy. You throw away the men and the women that raised you, and they are wounded. They are hurt. They complain. They grumble. And that has been happening in many ministries. So next, what happened in this story? That now, actually it was on the 20th day. Now I'm showing you how strong this covenant was. Amidst all the defilement, there was still some bit of authority. So on the 20th day, they come to church. And now by that time, two other girls have joined in the fellowship. There are now 4 of us in this fellowship. But they're not attacking. But now the man of God is polluted, the altar is polluted, the team is grumbling. But so on that 20th day, just 2 days to the covenant, they come to this fellowship. And I think this lady could not stand it. He raises a question. In the midst of the sermon, he said, Pastor, all these people here, they are doing this. We are breaking the covenant, like shouting. And then, because it's already filed, he answers her with a curse. Because what the enemy, what we needed is the man of God to be incited to curse his people. Because that was the final blow. If he was defiled, but he was kept going, but he needed now to curse the covenant. It's like an enemy incited to curse your wife, or curse your child, or curse your team. You will die. Yes, you don't touch me. You will die. You will die, and all of you can die. Don't touch. Pride now. Pride now. Now instead of the ladies now she's saying, speaking a curse to a wounded soul. Now in the woundedness and all that, she comes to attack him. And as he comes to attack, now the other members of the group are also divided. You know why divided? Some of them, they have already received money from these girls to go and start small businesses. So in that attack, Comes to attack, the pastor attacks back, the other groups attack. They could not come the second day because after the fight, you cannot come back together. Someone is bleeding, another one. Then I get a call and they say, withdraw. The lines are open. The highway is open. We have broken. So withdraw. So I return to my place, so excited. You know, every time I share this, my wife wants to stone me. Because she says, you stopped the revival. You stopped it. But so it ends there. They could not finish only one day to the covenant. If they, at least they leaped to, like, if they had not fought that day and they could come the next day, even in that pain, if they had, like, say, okay, we have fought, but let's repent. We are under attack. Forgive me. I'm sorry. If that moment, they'll say, sister, we have one day. You've scratched me. I've done all this. I've cast you, but let's repent. Let's forgive each other. Let's finish the covenant. Because it was still going on. They were only remaining. The next day they didn't come. They were so offended. And they had fought. The pastor had fought. I returned to where I was staying with my team. They go to their homes. Because the next day I'm traveling to Rome, to Italy. I'm traveling to that place for ordination and appreciation. Because I have finished the work. They had been promised all this kind of money, powers, authority, and all that. So I have to travel the next day to go and receive my reward. Now, that day where I was going, the plan was that if I arrived there, they were to sacrifice me and kill me and share my flesh, because they said I was carrying now energy that each one of them needed in their bodies. So after serving Satan all my life, from day 1 to 24, the reward of serving him was to kill me. So I'm 24, and what they want, I'm planning to travel. Then the Lord Jesus goes to a young lady, a student, and tells her to come and preach to me. Now that lady, that young girl, she was 19 years by the time. She was in the same course at the university with my sister. So she knew everything about me. She knew how wicked I was. So the Lord tells her, tomorrow, go preach to that boy. And the girl tells the Lord Jesus, Father, send a bishop, send an apostle, send a pastor. I can't. That boy is wicked. Even the wicked call him wicked. And she says, the Lord told her, the least in my kingdom is greater than the greatest in the kingdom of darkness. That's what the Lord told her. And with that, so she said in her mind, okay, I will go. But I will go very early in the morning at 7 a.m. I will walk around, then come and tell the Lord, I have not found you. I was at the university. So she knew where I was staying, in my hall of residence. So for her, she was like, no student can be awake at 7 a.m. No one. 7 a.m.? No. So she knew I could not be, because there's no way in my life could be awake at 7 a.m. So she woke up at 7 a.m. to just pretend she's coming to preach to me. Walk around, then go back and tell the Lord, I obeyed, but I've not found him. That was her plan, she tells me. Now, that morning, I am leaving to go to the airport to pick a flight to Italy. That morning, 7 a.m. So as I come out of my room, she meets me out of my place. So she says, oh my God, I'm finished. So in her heart, she says, let me first go back and pray. I'll preach to him later. So I pass her. Now, as I pass her, she says, the Lord told her, call him. So I pass, she says, James. I didn't answer back because no one dared call me that name. I was called Master, including my lecturers. Everyone called me Master. Even the people in police and government all called me Master. So I looked at this girl calling me James, but she could not call me Master because she had a master, Jesus. So I kept walking. She called again, James. She called a third time, James. Now, I know in the laws of the occult, if you are challenged thrice and you don't respond, you've been defeated. So in my mind, I said, but I'm going somewhere, let me punish her. So I'm there in anger. And I feel, so she had the ability to bring me to the point of anger by just calling me. Now that's very important, because at the point of anger, you are zero your power. You've lost authority when you get angry. So in those in the kingdom of darkness, no. Anyone who has the ability to bring to a place of anger has disarmed you. So I had forgotten that at that moment, because I felt anger. I would have remained calm and confident and move on my work. But now, because I felt the pride in me, they are so proud. So I felt like she is challenging me, and I felt angry. So in my mind, I'm like, what can I do? Can I kill her here? Or can I blind her? Or can I make her mad? And I could do that in a few minutes, just a few seconds. I've ever done that in several lives. So I knew I could turn to her, project into her eyes, and make her mad. So I said, okay, let me make her mad. She's going to undress, walk naked through campus until I return. So I turned to her to do that in my mind. And then when I looked at her eyes, to project to her eyes, flashes of light, bolts of light were coming from her eyes and were hitting me, pew, like thrice. I said, what have I seen? I look at the guy again. I'm hit. Then I'm saying, what kind of person is this? I've fought many thousands, bishops, pastors. What kind of this? So I look at her another time. And every time that flash hits me, the powers disappear. She hits me, the power, and she's not saying a word, just looking at me. Then I knew, now it's battle. Because I had never encountered such kind of power. I never seen. And what kind of girl was this? I just thought it was just a young lady. So I really now had to summon support, project and call witches and wizards in the territory, all those that were serving under powers to come and help me. So in just a few minutes, 600 of them are around me. She cannot see them, but they are now around me. They are invisible to her. But me, I know I have an army of 600. So what I need to do now is all of the 600 form together and attack her at once. In that 600 forces join into one. So I have to be bold enough to look at her one more time and then project, then all the 600 can attack. So she's standing there, and the Lord just told her, she told me later, the Lord told her, be still and know that I'm God. And then the Lord told her, be calm. So in all this, I'm closing my eyes, I'm looking at her. She maintains a smile. It's like the smile that's like saying, I'm in charge. And she's just looking at me. So I look at her, and now I want the 600 to come at her, to attack her. And where she's standing, and I'm not seeing her. I'm just seeing a pillar of light connecting into heaven in a place. And then I look into the pillar of light. A man, now I know it's Jesus, he's looking at me. Just look at me. Now, the moment his eyes touched my eyes, I saw the 600 taking off in 600 direction, screaming and running, including Lucifer himself. He was present. I didn't know that time. They were, like I could see, and I'm just saying all these demons from childhood are leaving instantly, just by a look. There's this thing people say that there's a wrestling between Jesus and Satan. It's impossible. Satan and his demons cannot fight when Jesus appears. No, he can't. They can't. There's like, people, oh, the devil is attacking Jesus. It's impossible. It can't. It can't. Why? Every knee bow and every tongue. So when he appears, Satan cannot put up a fight. There's no wrestling between the two. He has to run away. He has to go. And I don't know where he goes, but he has to go, because I saw that moment. He just looked at me. No wrestling, no fight, no shouting, no like fire and what. Just looked at me in that pillar of light and everything. So but my eyes closed, because now for the first time, I'm demonless. No demon, no spirit on me. I'm like human. So I opened my eyes to look at him and say, what kind of person is this? Now, when I opened my eyes another time, the pillar is not there. The man is not there. The girl is standing there. So, and now I just know I'm disarmed. I'm in fear for the first time in my life, because I don't have a spirit. I look at her, and then the Lord tells her, go to him. She begins to walk towards me. And every step she takes is like an earthquake. I could feel the ground. Like the Lord is causing me to know who she is in the spirit. She's a giant. So she's moving and the ground is shaking, the foundation is shaking. Steps. Then she comes near me and I cannot run away because I've been now arrested. I've been arrested. I can't, my feet are bound. I can't run away. And I'm in fear. I don't know what she's going to do to me. So she looks at me and then she gives me a hug. That was my first hug in life, 24. I had never been hugged. So she hugs me and she says, James, Jesus loves you. And you don't know what that word did to me. I felt like all my faculties were being formed. Like for the first time in life, I cried. That was the first time I cried. So she gives me this hug and I begin crying and she began crying. But the cry is like a baby and a mother getting back a baby. So she's holding me tight and I'm crying like a baby and she's also crying. And I don't know what's going on. But during the cry, there's love. There's all my emotions are being revived. It's like I'm becoming human the first time. So she's hugging me. And then after minutes of crying and crying, then by the time some other students are gathering around us and they're saying, this is a witch, we know him. This is a believer, Christian. And they are hugging and they are crying. So they're wondering, who is captured? They're forming a circle around me. So after the cry, I'm crying, then she says, James, what do you want? Then I remember I told her, I need Jesus. Then she tells me, talk to him. So I said, Jesus, I want to serve you. I don't know why I said that. I want to serve you. So she led me in the prayer of confession. And it was 7:45 a.m., 3rd September, 1999. 7:45 a.m. I can't remember the time. I can't forget the time and the moment because now it's over 24 years, but it's as if it happened yesterday. It's so real, that experience of coming from the dead. Now, what I want to say, the devil used me and wanted to destroy me. I was fighting Jesus, but he wanted to save me. Look at that love. That even when I was his enemy, he still gave me a chance. He still loved me. Even when I was his enemy, I deserved death. Even to the devil I was serving, I deserved death. But Jesus loved me to the extent that he said, I can give you a chance. So that day, let me go back to that day after giving my life to Jesus Christ. That day, she took me to where I was staying, and a few friends, they came by, prayed for me, and I slept. I slept for 48 hours, sleeping. I could not sleep an hour a night all my life from childhood. The longer I could sleep was an hour all my life because I was in pain all my time. So I could sleep just 1 hour in a night. Now that day, when after they took me back to my room, and they were sitting there praying, and then I went into a deep sleep, 48 hours, because I was deep asleep. I don't know what happened during that sleep. So when I woke up, and so I began, they pray for me and all that. That same week, all my companies were closed. I had companies. I had 2 homes. They caught fire. My house caught fire. The companies were closed. And then like after 1 month, I was arrested and taken to prison they were charging for money laundering. But while I'm there, all these agents, the government and others come to me and say, you can't leave us. You can't leave. We're going to see that. So they began torturing me in order to renounce Jesus, then go back to the occult. And so I am in prison. I spent 6 months in the prison in they call them safe houses, not taken to court, but in a room without light for 6 months. I'm there. And they're torturing me, they're beating me, they're doing all this kind of thing to renounce it and return. But I could not. And suddenly, that girl, God told her where I was. So they ended in prayer and fasting. when there was a change of system in the government, and they got a new army commander who was leading the police, and said they closed all the safe houses where they're keeping prisoners. But now they left me in that house alone, in that cell. So this girl comes, and God shows her where I am. They get me. I'd been malnourished for 6 months, almost dying. Get me out of that cell, take me to her place, and begin now discipling me. The kind of discipleship. So one thing that she told me, or they told me, was that unless you read the Bible. So I remember I could read the Bible from day to evening, every day, reading the Bible. So they told me about the Bible. 3 of them. One was to teach me the Bible. One was to see that I eat. Another one was to see that trains me. So for this one, the one who led me to Christ, her work was to teach me prayer, to disciple me like prayer. So we used to have like a room where I could meet to pray, and could pray for 12 hours every weekend. But then there are other days could say, I call you for a 3. Now, this kind of prayer was not the prayer we pray in church. For example, could cause you to pray for 12 hours, praying tongues, worship, and she could not even allow us to drink water. So she could be with a can of water and just come to you, gives you half the cup, drink, then pray. I was filled later, and I was alone when I received this girl in that fellowship. When she could call us for that vigil, like she could tell us pray, like pray, and then say, we are praying for a certain person who is in the occult. Then she could leave us praying. Then God sends her to that person. Then she comes with that person. And those people who could come, sometimes they could find me and say, Master, what are you doing here? And I tell them, what has brought you is what brought me. So her assignment was to intercede for hours and hours for the poor in the occult. And I saw almost 30 of us who she captured and brought the fellowship. And from that time, the Lord was training her how to deal with such people, because there were many. So like God had been training her to intercede, to pray, to be before the Lord for a longer time of prayer, like engage in the spirit so she could engage for hours and for days. And then thereafter, God tells her, now go for that one. Like now for me, like you did. So she could go and find the person, minister to him, get him, bring him in the fellowship. And so we realized the ceremony, we're like 30 of us. 30 years. And like 20, let me say, like 23 of us are now ministers who she brought in. 23 of them, they have churches. Actually, we are ministers, not just pastoring churches, leading one. We are older than her. She was the youngest. Because Mia was 24 when she was 19. She's going to be with the Lord. After her assignment, she died, and the Lord told her to prepare. And she told us, I've finished my assignment. And I thought she was a joke. But then she didn't get sick. She went to prayer, slept, and the next day she was home. After her assignment. Because the Lord told her, you've raised these men. We are all men who are from the occult deep. They are going to do my work. You've finished your work. But all of us that she brought, we are standing in the Lord. My ministry and other 23 others. So the 23 pastors, they're doing the work of the Lord, and they're all testifying the same testimony I have, that they were captured and raised by her. And that was like 3 years.
That's incredible.
Because in 3 years, that's when she went to be with the Lord. After 3 years of my conversion. And she did all this in 3 years on this, when she went to be with the Lord. And all this we're doing is because of her. I wouldn't be here if it was not her. She's in the book. And there are many people knew her. But she was not a pastor. She was an intercessor. And what she did to the third of us, more than actually, she raised us. She taught us to intercede. What I am today, I believe, is the foundation. Hours of prayer, hours of waiting upon the Lord. I saw her obedience. I saw her faithfulness. I saw how she could always tell us about purity, walking right with God, reading the Bible. And that was 3 years. After 3 years, she went to be with the Lord. So when this girl died, when she went to be with the Lord, the lady who led us to Christ, one day she said a prayer. She said, Lord, these men are depending on me. And if I'm a hindrance to what they're supposed to be, please take me. I had that prayer. It didn't take long when the Lord said, now I'm taking you. Now, we were depending on her somehow. She was training us, but we had learned to depend on. So when she went to be with the Lord, I don't know others, but me, I think I lost something, the sensitivity and the covering. So I found there was this girl, a young lady. I found her, and we began dating. So now not her, the other has gone, but then this is a new one, a Christian. So we began dating. Now we dated, and then we agreed to get married. So I didn't have money because I didn't have a job at the time. So she raised the money, she gave it to me from her parents to go and pay for her bride price. So I went, we did what you call the introduction of my culture. Now, 10 days to the wedding, she gets a dream. In the dream, there was an old woman that was chasing her in the dream, beat her up in the dream. In the same night I got a dream, an old woman was standing before me and saying, "My husband, are you going?" And so when I came out of the dream, I said, I didn't even go into prayer. I just said, the blood of Jesus, like that, simple like that. That day she got a headache. And in the evening, she died. So she died. But now, before I got born again as a young man, all the girls I got involved with, like a young man, died, including the girl who I got involved in, and I got two kids with her. I have a son who I got before, and my daughter also, she died. So whoever could get close to me, like getting towards marriage, the other covenant of the other woman could kill her. So when this girl died, 10 days to the wedding, actually no, 10 days to the wedding, when she died, it opened up a wound that had not been healed in me. I became bitter towards God. Deep inside of me, I questioned God. I became bitter and all this. And in that bitter, but I was preaching, I was praying, I was leading people to Christ and all that. Then I became sick. But I had faith. God will heal me. I didn't go to hospital. But there was sign that I was sick. But then I couldn't fasting, praying and what. Then one day I collapsed. So they carried me to hospital. I was unconscious for days. So by the time I came back to my senses, I was in a cancer institute. And my mother's telling me, they have confirmed you have leukemia, stage 4. And I was like, no, it can't be. Even the doctor was saying, but I don't know how it has. So I had cancer now. So I'm in the hospital and I go through chemotherapy, the first round, then I lose my sight. The doctor said there was a mistake, there was an error, and then the chemo messed up something, and they say I will never see all my life. And then they were trying to go, because I remember it was like 3.5 years from the. So I'm sick, I lost my sight. They said I will never see again because of the chemo did my eyes. You know, when you have leukemia, they say the white blood cells are over-multiplying, so they're eating up all your system. Then I became paralyzed. Then they say I will never walk again because they had damaged my spine when they were trying to get some fluid from my spine. They did several times. Now, when the doctors realized that I was not going to make it, they tried all kind of things like research on my body, all kind of medicine, all kind of, because they knew they were not, so whatever they wanted to try, they could try on my body. They knew I was not making it. So I'm in this hospital and I'm blind, I'm paralyzed. So all my body is full of wounds, but sores. My fingernails are out. My hair is like I'm a zombie. But during that time, one of the young ladies who was among the team that was teaching me, God told her to come to hospital and not pray for me, but read the Bible to me. So she came and the Lord had told her to read 25 chapters every day. Now, for the whole year, I was in hospital because I was in a hospital for a whole year. And she didn't miss. She could not be allowed in my room because of they could fear if she could bring infection and what. Oh, but because they said every time someone came into the room, the vibration could send my body into shock. So she could only stand outside the room and read. But I could be in pain all day until the time she's reading the Bible. The pain. I was on morphine and all kind of painkillers, but nothing would stop the pain. But the only time I was not in pain is when she began to read. And the moment she ends, the pain returns. But I could hear. So she could come, and every day she was coming to hospital, reading. That's where I picked this thing that I do every day, reading 25 chapters of the Bible. Because that's how I picked it. From that moment. It's like God told her. So she could come and read and read. Then, the day the Lord told us stop, that day, the hospital called my mother and said, we can't do anything. You can't stay here because it's expensive. So because I was on life support, I could not breathe. My lungs had collapsed, everything. I had multiple tumors in the brain. So they said, this boy is clinically dead. So carry him home and prepare. Because the moment they knew that if they could take me off life support, I could not breathe, even for 2 hours. So my mother, I remember, she lifted me naked. Because the doctors and nurse could not hold me. I was full of, every part of the body was rotten. And not just skin and bones and smelling. And no one could help her. So she lifted me, put me in a car, carried me home, knowing by the time she arrives home, I'll be dead. So we arrived home, I was not dying. So they began arranging for the funeral. Like she got the money, paid for the funeral, people who would do all this, and say, we're just waiting for a moment because he's going to die. Because why? I had tumors in the brain, my lungs had collapsed, blind, paralyzed. There's no way someone could live. So days, she's waiting for me to die, I'm not dying. Then she begins to pray her own prayer for me to die, because she's saying he's in a lot of pain and there's no hope of him getting well. So let him die. And after days, she gets tired because she's been in the hospital. So she leaves me in the room to go back to her room and sleep. So I'm there, I'm blind, I'm paralyzed, I can't even turn myself. And then suddenly, after 1 year, my eyes opened. And when they opened, Jesus is standing there. So he comes to where I'm sleeping, not dreaming. He sits down and tells me, I have healed you. And I could not speak. Then suddenly my mouth opened and I asked him, from what? I don't know why I asked. Then he said, listen what he said, from the rebellion of your bloodline. Then he told me, go heal my people. He walked away. I stood up. I went to my mother's room. I called her. She couldn't believe. To her, she thought, now that's a sign of someone going to die. So she began calling people, please arrange me. I said, no, Jesus has been here. Jesus has been here. And she couldn't believe. I was walking, I was seeing, and I've been cancer-free up to now. So after my healing, God healed me from cancer, and I began ministry. People were coming, people were healed, people were getting all kinds of miracles. But I saw a pattern in my life. I could not get in any relationship because of the fears that had happened to me. And also, I could see that I had seen all this kind of thing that have come in,